What's up? Welcome back to Beat Goblin. This is going to be something a little different and also a blatant ripoff of a video from Matt Gray and Tom Scott's Dormant Matt and Tom channel, where they went through like rejected video ideas for Tom Scott's channel. And I thought that it sounded fun, and I'm going to start with the video idea that made me want to make this, because the kind of idea was like, hey, these video ideas have sat on the list maybe even for years. Let's set them free. And that's exactly what I want to do with some of these ideas. So a few years ago, a movie starring Zac Efron playing a DJ called We Are Your Friends got kind of memed on a bit by music producers and DJs. In the movie, Zac Efron plays a DJ, and in the trailer for it, he talks about starting a set at like 120, 124 BPM and then moving it up to 128 beats per minute, as if it's this really profound insight. And people kind of poked fun at it, and that was it. And I thought, wouldn't it be a banger video to do real DJ or real music producer reacts to We Are Your Friends? And that has sat on the list for a really long time, and I'm never going to make it. Someone who is better qualified and has the patience to make that video, please do it. I want this to exist, but I have never DJ'd a show. I would like to. I'll get there eventually, but I'm not really the right person to make that video. I've got lots of music production experience, but no real DJing experience other than some bedroom sets, so I'm not the right person to make that video. Plus, I don't really have the patience to like sit through a movie, comb through it for things to like commentate on and then edit that down. Like me and one of my other YouTuber friends who does chess videos, we've talked about doing like movie reviews in our own respective fields, and neither of us have ever done it because it's just the kind of grindy work that doesn't sound particularly fun and might not even be particularly rewarding if no one cares about the movie or if there's not actually anything interesting to say, in which case you would probably just scrap the whole thing. So I'm setting that idea free. Someone else, please make that video. I would be very curious. I haven't seen the movie, so I have no idea if it would even yield anything interesting. It might be like totally adequate and unremarkable. In a similar vein, another idea that's been on the list for a while is music production meme review. I am never going to do this, mainly because it's not the kind of content that I would want to watch. I find that meme reviews featuring just like one person reviewing memes are like incredibly uninteresting videos and usually just devolve into the person just describing the memes. And at that point, just cut out the middleman and just look at the memes. Finally, on the kind of react-y, commentary-y thing, I did do that Deadmau5 Masterclass review, and I'm really glad I did it. It was fun. It popped off. I'm proud of that video. It even got comments from like Jeremy from my Means Recording, which was cool as hell. I promised myself I will never do another one. For one thing, because sitting there going through that content was a slog, and I just don't want to subject myself to that ever again, especially because right now I am studying for professional exams, so I'm already sitting in front of a computer watching lectures and taking notes. I don't want to do that for fun as well. No, thank you. And partially because, especially since that video popped, I think there's a decent chance that others reviewing maybe Armin van Buuren's Masterclass or Timbaland, I think those would have a decent chance of doing well as well, and I don't want to potentially become known as the Masterclass guy. So, once again, someone else feel free to do those. I am not touching that again. Glad I did it, but no more. Switching gears entirely, though, from kind of react to things content, which I just don't have interest in making, an idea that's been on the list for years has been making music with a USB steering wheel. I want to see someone do that. I don't really know logistically how you would pull that off, and it might be kind of anticlimactic, and it also might be like way too much work for way too little result. I just think that that idea is really funny, and I want to see that done. Maybe at some point I'll do that. Also, I'm not referring to like the steering wheel shaped groove box either. I want someone to like make a beat using tilt controls or like, you know, the steering wheel that you would use for a driving sim. I think that would be very funny. Or, you know, use the yoke for a flight sim or any number of other non-optimal controller interfaces for controlling your DAW or maybe even a Groovebox, something like that. I know people have modded various video game controllers to have musical output to them. So I feel like this would be doable in some form. I'm just not the guy to make it. These next ones are more things that I've just been thinking about trying. I actually might still do these. I do at some point want to revisit the first DAW I ever really used, which was Mixcraft. I think it's still around, and I think that would be kind of fun to revisit it for the first time in years and see if it was actually any good or I just sucked at music production, which I obviously did at that point. I was a beginner. But I think that would be interesting to revisit, but it's one of those things where it's like, I'll get around to it at some point. I also have wanted to try online DAWs at some point. Like, I believe it's Audio Tool that has actually produced stuff that's like pretty good. At some point, that's a rabbit hole to go down. That's not really a rejected idea, just I may or may not ever get to that idea. A few more that I'm just reading off of my Notion here that are, some of these are various shades of things I've done in the past. Things like consumerism is killing your music production as a title. That would basically just be like a slightly preacher version of stuff I've already made, and no one wants to be preached at. So I think I've made my points on why consumerism kills people's music production, so I don't think I need to say it repeatedly. I have turning Reaper into Ableton. That would be kind of cool. I think there are tools for this, but I don't know if they're any good. If you know of them, let me know. This one I've wanted to do for a while. I have the title is, So Your Kid Wants to Get Into Making Beats. I think this is adequately covered by videos I've done on budget stuff and beginner-friendly stuff. But this is the kind of thing that I would have wished I had when I got into making music at, age 13, 15, something like that. I don't exactly remember when I got into music production. But if I could like point my parents to this and be like, hey, you could get me a MIDI controller that this guy recommends or something. I've had parents ask me like what they should get for their kid. And like I said, I think I've covered that adequately, but I like that framing, and I may still do that at some point. I also have why I don't like Nexus on here, like ReFX Nexus plugin. I think I've talked about this in various places, and it's not really a whole video's worth of content, but basically it's just incredibly overpriced for what you get. You're much better getting Serum and some presets off of Splice and calling it a day. You don't get nearly enough control for how much you pay for very generic presets. And the big thing that pisses me off about Nexus is that they have these sequence things that's basically just a full loop mapped to your keyboard, and they use them in the demo videos. So when you hear a thing in the demo video, you think you're going to get like these 6 synth patches, but it turns out it's just one patch that's basically just a loop, which is not why I bought it. And it has a dongle. Don't buy Nexus. It sucks. Well, it doesn't suck. It's fine, and I used it like a little. Just don't get it. It's a ripoff. iPad music production, a deep dive. I might still do this at some point. People really want me to do it. The problem is that I don't really want to do it. I don't really need an iPad for anything else, and I've got portable devices I already really like, and I like the physical buttons and knobs and dials, and I don't know. I have had controlling the MPC with electronic drums, because I have the electronic drums back there. I have the MPC back somewhere over there. I think I'm covering it. And I thought it would be cool to try to make like an EDM drum kit, basically, where you could play out a track not by finger drumming pads, but by drumming. And that's something I am uniquely positioned to do, given my background as a drummer. It's just a lot of effort for something that I don't even have a great way of like explaining via a title and thumbnail, or even explaining like why you would want to do that versus another method of playing out electronic music live. So I haven't done it. Ooh, here's a good one. Turning my Electribe synth into a sampler. This one, I have wrestled with whether or not I want to do this, and I've ultimately decided that I will never do this. And the reason is that I like the Electribe synth being a synth. I think that's kind of neat. I think that's a selling point of it. And to kind of destroy that in order to basically get functionality that you could get if you paid the same amount of money for an Electribe sampler, look up Hacktribe if you want to figure out how to do that. I'm just scared of breaking my device, and I don't want to change what it is. I like what it is, and I think it's like kind of unique for what it is. Granted, I don't really use it much, but that is one thing that I am going to hang on to because it's not very big, it's portable, it is kind of fun and kind of cool and kind of a piece of Groovebox history in my mind anyway. So no, I don't want to turn it into a sampler. Also, along with that, someone's done a hack, I think it's called the Hakai, to turn the MPC-1 or a standalone MPC into the Akai Force, sort of, and you could like launch clips with it. As far as I understand, it's kind of janky, and once again, I'm afraid of breaking my device, so I haven't tried it. If anyone has, let me know if it's any good and whether it's worth trying. Because, like, I don't need an MPC and an Akai Force. No one does. But I have them both, and I intend on keeping them both around, at least for the time being. Another one that I've really wanted to do, and this is more of a kind of creative exercise that I still think would be really cool. Just logistically, I'm not sure how I would do it. So the working title in my head, well, there are two working titles. There's remixing the remix of a remix of a remix, or a game of musical telephone. Neither of which are particularly clickbaity or go very far into explaining what it actually is. But basically, what I want to do is take a song that I've made and get someone else to remix it. And then take that remix, have it stemmed out, and get someone else to remix that. And send it through, I don't know, ideally like 5 or 6 people, and see how it evolves and see if you could almost turn it into a completely different song by the time it gets to the 5th or 6th person. I don't know if that would actually work, but I think that would be a really neat thing. I just don't know how I would like organize something like that. I could ask viewers to get in on this, but I don't know. I don't always like asking people to do stuff, especially for free. That just feels kind of weird to me. So on the list, it has sat. Another couple of production challenges that I've wanted to do and just not gotten to. The working title is Making a Banger with a Kazoo. Seriously. And what I would probably do is use like a kazoo in, I don't know, probably distort it a bunch, try to make a gnarly bass with it, maybe use it as a single cycle waveform or a wavetable. There's a lot of stuff you could do to get a kazoo to sound presentable, but I just haven't done it. I did it with the stylophone, and I did it with just like the buzz from an audio cable, and that kind of scratched that itch, so I just haven't gotten to that. That's free if you want it. I might still do it someday, but I probably won't ever get around to it. Another production challenge, the title is Making Music, but Everything is Random. I actually kind of beta tested a version of this. Basically, what I wanted to do is try to randomize as many aspects of the music production process as possible, like use Massive's random sounds and use random presets on Infiltrator and randomized drum patches for things, and like generate a bunch of random sounds or pick sounds at random, maybe even pick stuff based off dice rolls, and then use kind of like sequencing randomizers like stuff on the Polyend tracker. I've tried various aspects of these in bits and pieces, and the tragic fact is just none of it sounds good, like at all, and none of it even really had a spark of interesting ideas, and so I scrapped it. It's one of those things that I find really entertaining in theory, but I think in practice it's much less entertaining, so I've just sat on that. I even made a freaking thumbnail for it, and I think that's very funny if you know the reference. I've got on here, I tried automated mastering sites to find the worst. That's just kind of outside my wheelhouse. I'm not a mastering engineer, so I'm not the person to make that video. Also, I am not the person to make these videos. I built a trombone, or I 3D printed my own MIDI controller. These are things that require someone to be craftier. I am good with gadgets, and I am good with numbers. I am not good with manipulating physical objects. So people have done these things. People have obviously built the Blue Man Group trombone. I just want it to make the donk noise. I want to have my own like sampled, like cleanly sampled trombone donk noise. That's all I want in life. Is that too much to ask? And 3D printing a MIDI controller, while that would be cool, my brother has a 3D printer, so we theoretically could do it. It's just one of those things that we're both too busy to prioritize. And I think it's just going to have to be like that. Anyway, this was weirdly cathartic. if you want any of those ideas, they're all yours. And if you like any of those ideas, let me know. I probably still won't do them. But thank you so much for watching. If you'd like some more kind of commentary stuff, if this rambling wasn't enough, you can check out these videos over here somewhere. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. And I'll be back with a new video at some point.